Snipers, drones and sharpshooters had to be deployed as the Union Minister, the Home Minister Amit Shah, made his first visit to Jammu and Kashmir since Article 370 was abrogated on the 5th of August 2019. The visit comes at a time when the Union Territory is spooked with the targeted killings of civilians and heightened terrorism by Pakistan-backed outfits.
Calling the move irreversible, the architect of the abrogation of Article 370 defended the move, calling the communication blockade and curfew imposed in Kashmir after 5th of August 2019 a bitter pill that saved lives in Kashmir.
यहाँ कर्फ्यू क्यों डाला गया है? यहाँ इंटरनेट क्यों बंद कर दिया गया? 70 साल आपके 3 परिवारों ने ही यहाँ राज करा है। हम तो 2-2.5 साल राज में रहे। 3 परिवारों ने राज किया है। 40,000 लोग क्यों मारे गए? क्या जवाब है आपके पास? कौन बचा है? कश्मीर का युवा बचा है। इंटरनेट बंद किया, कश्मीर का युवा बचा है।
On his first visit to Kashmir since Jammu and Kashmir was stripped of its statehood and special constitutional status over 2 years ago, the Home Minister reviewed the security situation in the Union Territory with top army, police, paramilitary and intelligence officers in the wake of a recent spate of targeted attacks on civilians and an ongoing anti-militancy operation in Poonch. This month, 11 civilians, most of them migrant workers and members of minorities in Kashmir, have been killed. The incidents have led to exodus of large number of migrant workers and Kashmiri Pandit employees living in transit camps. In Poonch, the army has been engaged in a tough anti-militancy operation for the last 13 days. 9 soldiers, including 2 officers, have been killed in action in a region that was free from militancy since 2003 and is seeing a worrying resurgence of terrorism now, which is proving to be a major security challenge. Still, the Home Minister says that the abrogation of special status has changed Kashmir's narrative from terrorism to development. The Home Minister also reiterated the government's intention to restore the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir.
डिलिमिटेशन रोकना, क्यों रोकना? क्योंकि हमारी राजनीति का नुकसान होता है। भाई अब कश्मीर में ऐसा कुछ रुकने वाला नहीं है। कश्मीर के युवाओं को मौका मिले, इसलिए अच्छा डिलिमिटेशन भी होगा। डिलिमिटेशन के बाद चुनाव भी होगा और फिर से स्टेटहुड का स्टेटस भी वापस।
Amid heavy rains and snowfall in Kashmir, unprecedented security arrangements were in place in Srinagar in preparation for the Home Minister's visit. The famed Dal Lake bore a deserted look, out of bounds for the public.
कुछ कमाई हुई आज दिन को? हाँ? 1 रुपया भी नहीं कमाया। क्या हो रहा है? क्या अब तो 2-3 दिन ऐसे रहना या? हाँ? हाँ। तो बिल्कुल कोई यहाँ नहीं आया।
On the first day of his Kashmir visit, Home Minister Amit Shah tried to send a message that there is a positive change in Kashmir for last 2 years of the abrogation of special status. He defended world's longest internet shutdown and curfew in Kashmir that was imposed after abrogation of special status in August 2019. Many believe the facts on the ground may not match what Amit Shah said, especially in the wake of recent spike in violence and militancy. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi, 5NDTV.
The Home Minister also inaugurated a Srinagar-Sharjah flight service, saying the move will boost tourism, and while he termed this as part of the many opportunities being created by the administration for the progress of the youth of Jammu and Kashmir, the former Chief Minister Omar Abdullah pointed out that the flight may meet the same fate as an earlier inaugurated Srinagar Dubai flight in 2009 if Pakistan doesn't allow use of its airspace. So the big question tonight on Left, Right and Centre: has the abrogation of special status changed Kashmir's narrative from terrorism to development, as the Home Minister says? Joining us on the show, Saeed Sohail Bukhari, spokesperson of the PDP, Lieutenant General Saeed Atta Hasnain, former GOC of the 15 Corps, We hope to have Abhijit Jasrotia, spokesperson of the BJP, also joining us, of Jammu and Kashmir, head policy of the research department of the BJP, Brahma Chalani, security expert, and Radha Kumar, former interlocutor for Jammu and Kashmir. Syed, Suhail Bukhari, to you first. So, has the abrogation of special status changed Kashmir's narrative from terrorism to development? That's what the Home Minister said on the ground today. Mr. Bukhari, could you just unmute? You need to unmute and start again, sir. Go ahead. Let me come back to you, Mr. Bukhari. Let's get in. Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain, if you could speak a little bit about the security situation on the ground. The government had billed the abrogation of Article 370 as a permanent solution to bringing peace to Kashmir. Yet we see today the Home Minister is visiting at a time where we're seeing a horrific spurt in civilian killing, something we haven't seen since the 90s. In Poonch, 9 soldiers, including 2 officers, killed in action. That's unprecedented, and as our report said there, this is in a region that has been said to be free from militancy since 2003. Now you're seeing a worrying resurgence of terrorism though there.
Sarah, thank you for having me on your program. It's a pleasure to be with you. As to the facts which you have just stated, I could question everything, but no need to do that. Just remember, these events which you say took place last in the 90s have been taking place regularly. Not to say that's a good thing, have been taking place regularly. I have been in and out of Kashmir for the last 30 years. And I can give you milestone to milestone as to when these incidents took place in the past too. You had them at Wandhama, if you remember, Nandimar, Chitti Singhpura. This all happened at the end of the 90s.
So are you saying nothing has changed?
No. What I'm trying to
or the more things change, the more they remain the same?
The more you question me and you put counter questions on it, I will not be able to answer you. So let me finish. What I'm going to just tell you is, when you take big ticket decisions of this kind, no one expects that this thing is going to transform overnight. No, there will be a tremendous dynamism. There will be give and take. There will be a progress. There will be a regression. There will be progress and it will come back again. The very reason why what is happening today is because of the progress that you have made, because of the stabilization that we have achieved. But somewhere, obviously, there will be glitches and there will be a comeback. Your adversaries will work against you. You will have to work doubly again on your intelligence, on your responses to make sure that this does not repeat itself. Right? Now, different tactics are used each time. If you notice this time, they're using just pistol-borne terrorists, young men, not those AK-47 uniformed kind of personnel anymore. So change of tactics, change of things. This is the dynamism in the CI grid which takes place all the time. So no one can claim at any time in 2 years' time to say we have finished the problem forever. No one in the government has said it. None of the strategic analysts have ever said it. I have never said it for one, definitely. Okay. So from a security point of view, definitely there has been a slight dilution. We will recover. And this is the beginning of the winter. April, the first snow has come in. This is exactly the time that the adversaries were looking how to try and retract the situation. Bring in more terrorists.
All
6 months, 6 months down the line from here, next year, April, this is the time that they're looking for.
Mr. Bukhari, could you come in over here, Lieutenant General Hasnain, saying that this is only to be expected. Obviously, there is going to be a blowback when you make big ticket moves like this.
Well, Sarah, I would rather not want to get into a debate with General because he has his point of view coming from the army background. But as a common observer, isn't it that was promised on the floor of the House by the Home Minister? Were we not given to understand all along that the militancy is over? With the 370 gone, there's going to be absolute peace. But now what we are witnessing is absolute deterioration in the security scenario. There's absolute sense of insecurity among minorities and among general public as well. Now, because the government has been in direct control. The Home Minister directly oversees the security and administrative affairs of Jammu and Kashmir. Nobody seems to be going up and asking questions. Had it been anybody else, they would have been lynched. If it were some other political party or some other state, there would have been questions all along. But in this case, since it's BJP, since it's Mr. Amit Shah himself who is to be questioned for the absolute deterioration on the situation on ground, we don't seem to be able to utter a single word. And coming back to what you had earlier asked me about this whole narrative getting changed to that of development, if pushing Jammu and Kashmir to number one when it comes to unemployment with a rate of 21% in the whole country, if that is development, yes, then that is the narrative development. If, bundling thousands of innocent youngsters who were merely commuting on the streets of Srinagar into, various police stations, taking away their bikes, despite the fact that they had their, genuine papers and everything else, only because the worthy Home Minister is supposed to come. If that is development, well, yes, then the narrative has changed. If taking some 900 odd youngsters from across Kashmir Valley, throwing them into jails of various police stations in wake up to what is happening, if that is development, well, yes, then the narrative has changed. But the essence of what the situation right now is that, if anywhere in the country a Home Minister visits any province, at best the people would look forward to it. Maybe they would feel happy that the Home Minister is coming. Indifferent. But when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, we have gone a notch down. That his coming brings misery to the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
To that, we have the PDP spokesperson there saying that basically the empty streets speak. That's a picture that speaks 1,000 words. That speaks for itself. That is very telling. You have the Home Minister visiting for the first time in 2 years, and the streets have to be completely emptied out. As our report pointed out there, the economic impact of that for the next 3 days is going to be felt by the Aam Aadmi on the ground. A 2-year itch post Article 370, and according to the PDP, the buck stops with the Home Minister himself.
Sir, just give me 2-3 minutes and I'll clarify everything over here. First of all, such sort of obnoxious and bizarre comments can be always expected from a party like PDP only, and anyways, he's voting for that. Now, let me talk about the visit of our Honorable Home Minister to Srinagar today. I'm also in Srinagar, and I can tell you the weather condition is really very bad over here. Heavy snowfall and everything is going on. Still, our Home Minister dared to come to this place, and that is what the reason is why the streets are empty over here. Anyways, when it comes to PDP, they are always biased in the statements, and we can very well understand on which agenda they are working. First thing, what our Home Minister does when he lands up in Srinagar, he goes, he visits the place of that inspector who laid down his life for his motherland. Then he takes a meeting of the Unified Command over there. Then he talks to the youth of the Kashmir, because he very well understands that this is the youth of the Kashmir who is going to make a change now. Because enough blood has drained in Jhelum from past 3-4 decades, and who was responsible for it, you know it very well. Anyways, when it comes to a party like BJP, we are committed that the things have changed after 5th August 2019, and the main the words which our Home Minister used, that it was a freedom from nepotism and it was a freedom from corruption. And who was involved in nepotism and who was involved in corruption? The person who was just talking before me. That's a party who was making backdoor appointments over here. And today, if the government is questioning so-called the relatives of our ex-chief minister over here, that is what is bothering them. That is why Article 370 is bothering them. Today, when their leaders, youth leaders, are held up by NIA and they are asked why they were helping the terrorists over there, terrorists like Abu Durzana, that is why these people are now raising hue and cry. The reason is very simple. If you just go by the history of Jammu and Kashmir, you can very well understand how many deaths have happened in Jammu and Kashmir before 5th August 2019 and what has happened after that. Even a single life is lost. That is, again, not acceptable. Whatever is done, that is all because of the certain Pak proxies who are there in Kashmir.
Okay.
There are certain people who are still talking on the Pak
Mr.
agenda.
Bukhari, I'm going to give you a chance to respond, but I want to bring in Mr. Brahmat Chilani in first. If you could talk about the security situation, Mr. Chilani, on the ground. We've, despite a massive build-up of Indian forces in the area, despite massive, extensive outreach efforts by the government. Yet on the ground, the fact is that we're seeing the twin threats of radicalization and homegrown terrorism, even perhaps, on the rise. General Hasnani also mentioned this, talked about the fact that you're seeing attacks with young people who have pistols, for example. So it seems like radicalization is on the rise.
Well, that's true. But let us not forget that there has been one important development in the last couple of months.
Afghanistan, the
Exactly.
situation in Afghanistan.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Ever since Joe Biden's handover of Afghanistan to terrorists, India's security has come under renewed pressure in J&K.
And also the Chinese build-up in eastern Ladakh.
Exactly. Ashley Tellis, who served in the Bush administration, said recently that the US has compromised India's security. Pakistan's proxy victory in Afghanistan is clearly emboldening the use of surrogate terrorists by it against India. This is apparent both from terrorists targeting minority community members in J&K. There's a very systematic pattern that we are seeing of minority community members being targeted. And also we have seen the death of a number of Indian soldiers in gun battles with terrorists. And the Indian Army chief said recently, earlier this month, that Pakistan is trying to push terrorists into India with the situation, quote unquote, regressing to pre-February days. That is, before the last ceasefire agreement with Pakistan was reached. India now faces a China-Pakistan-Taliban alliance, and things could get worse. So we have to be ready for the situation deteriorating further.
So a huge challenge for India, and something the government could not have predicted, is what you're saying.
Well, there was a period when the situation was improving, and then we have seen since the Jammu air base attack in June, that things have started to deteriorate because the Pakistanis also feel emboldened by the fact that India has failed to impose costs on the Pakistani terror masterminds. And the terror masterminds are the Pakistani military generals. We know the Pakistani deep state strategy is to bleed and destabilize India. That strategy is clear, which explains the recent developments. What is not clear
These are recent developments.
is the Indian strategy. What is the Indian strategy to defeat Pakistan's game plan? India has the diplomatic, economic, and military leverage to impose costs on the Pakistani deep state. Yet it is not clear that India has a cohesive long-term strategy to contain the Pakistani deep state's roguish actions.
All right, so India has to work on two fronts. One, not just to contain and handle the developments on the Pakistan border and on the China side, but what is our strategy to win confidence, hearts and minds of the people of Jammu and Kashmir? The opposition points out the government has failed there. Radha Kumar, could you come in over here? Yes, we've had huge steps forward, big milestones in the path to normalcy. Whether it's 4G connectivity. Do we have Radha Kumar? All right. Abhijit Jasrotia, maybe you can take this. Yes, there have been some milestones. 4G connectivity restoration, the District Development Council elections were big milestones of the path to normalcy. Yet, on the other hand, you have continued detention of many political prisoners. That is a sour note for many in Jammu and Kashmir. Hard measures, snapping phone and internet lines, mainstream politicians under house arrest. Distrust perhaps on the ground amidst common citizens, and of course restoration of statehood. That is a promise that we seem nowhere close to.
See, Sara, one thing is very much clear. After 5th August 2019, what everybody was expecting, that there is going to be many deaths still occur over here, and a huge amount everybody was expecting at that time. But what has happened? Situation wasn't under control. A few prophylactic treatment were taken, maybe for that matter, internet shut down and other things. At least we were able to save many lives over here. Now, when you talk about what is going to be the next over here, yeah, hello, am I audible?
saving lives but at the cost of civil liberties.
Sarah?
Yeah. And now, what? I'm not. Hello.
Go ahead, sir. Mr. Jasrotia, go ahead. All right.
See, in case if you're able to hear me, what has changed after 2019 is there that the expectation from the people is there that obviously they are looking forward for many things from the government, and government is delivering also. When it comes to health facilities, we are having AIIMS and all other new medical facilities which are coming up over here. Then obviously the infrastructure is also developing what was not developed from past 5 or 6 decades. We are really heading towards, I'll say, the new Kashmir which we have promised after the abrogation of Article 2019. And youth, which is a major stakeholder. The main thing why youth is satisfied in Kashmir is that now even if a single appointment is made,
all right,
that is made
the youth is the major stakeholder and they are satisfied. Mr. Saeed Suhail Bukhari, quick response. I'm completely out of time. 30 seconds to you.
Thank you very much, because it was very imperative for me to respond to what our worthy friend from the BJP has said. Essentially, he is the best person to represent BJP on this panel. Given the fact that, all the wrongs that he mentioned that we as PDP have been responsible for, of course, had to be when we were in the government. And the most bizarre thing is that he was part of PDP while we were in government, and only when we were no more in the government, he left PDP and then went to one party and then finally ended up at BJP.
Fair enough.
Fair
enough. That's
precisely,
what sums the BJP was in alliance with the PDP and right now pointing fingers at them. But I don't want to get into the politics of this. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We will be discussing this in all probability over the next 2 days, as the Home Minister is going to be on the ground there for 3 days. But thank you all for now for joining us on Left, Right and Centre.